Oh, what's up, Vishal? Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm late.
No worries at all. We
Yeah.
just started. We've got a solid audience today, though, so I'm happy to be here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. I'll Before we get to talking about our really exciting launches that happened this week, perhaps the biggest week at Stride since we launched ST Atom. I just want to give a quick shout out to our community spotlight of the month of January, Safel. Sappho's a really awesome, super engaged community member of ours. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being super active and super lively in our community. If you're out there listening somewhere in the future, I'm going to drop the link though, so you guys who are in the audience can go ahead and spend some time if you want to just read about this member of our community and a little bit about their life and a little bit about their visions for how they see Stride growing in the future and how they want to contribute to that. I just dropped the link in our chat. But yeah, I'm going to pass the mic off to Vishal so he can chat with us a little bit about STTIA, which launched today, and also talk a bit about STDYDX, which just launched earlier this week. And if anybody is interested in coming up to speak after Vishal, of course, raise your hand, drop your question in the chat, whatever works best for you. But yeah, happy STTIA Day, Vishal. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And yeah, shout out to Safel. We have only heard such great things, and it's been really great to have you as part of the community. Yeah, maybe let's talk about DYDX first and then Tia. So we had two big launches this week. So like Summer said, there's a lot to cover. And we want to make this pretty interactive so we can leave it open for questions at the end, or if you all have things in particular you want to discuss, we're all ears. But maybe just jumping into it. So DYDX has been a really big integration. We're working on this for a few months. It went live on Monday. I think two things about it making it really excited for it. One is it's a pretty new technology for us to be able to, for those who don't know, DYDX pays out USDC real yield instead of inflationary yield. And Stride on the back end auto compounds that USDC back into DYDX. So if you hold DYDX, you don't have to claim your STDYDX, you don't have to claim your USDC. You'll just kind of get this auto compounding. And one nice side consequence is normally the USDC would be, if you're in the US, taxed as like a short-term cap gains, but the STDYDX, because you hold it in auto compounds, is long-term cap gains. So that's super exciting. Another thing that's really exciting about DYDX is so far Stride's had mainly a presence within the Cosmos, but DYDX is a really large Ethereum community that we are hoping we can start tapping into and start expanding kind of the set of people who know about Stride and expanding the community. So something we're hoping to have in the works over the next few months is basically trying to move STDYDX over to Ethereum and use it on Uniswap or Arbitrum or Optimism or some of the other locations. So it went live earlier this week. We announced a relatively large airdrop for STDYDX, 150K over just the first few months. For STDYDX, the way we're snapshotting is we can basically track holders across any different chain. We're working on improving this, through time. We'll release some snapshots before the final period so people can let us know if we're capturing data incorrectly. But the short of it is we're storing down all the data, so we can always change our methodology if anyone seems like they're undercounted. That, yeah, and then in terms of it's only been a few days, but there's already a number of integrations. So there's LPs on, you can LP it on Osmosis and Afterport. You can deposit and lend on it on Nitron. It's already really deeply integrated into Leap as well. And then there's a few more integrations upcoming. Umi should be coming pretty soon. And then you'll see a post on the Agora forum pretty soon to use FTDYDX as collateral there. So all super exciting stuff. It's really cool to see how much traction we've gotten, and we're already at $1 million in TPL for STDYDX, and it's growing pretty steadily. So super exciting to see that. Yeah, and then maybe talking about the other big launch this week, and I'm just going to go high level for both of these because I imagine a lot of you have questions, and so want to leave time to take questions from the community. The other big launch happened a few hours ago is STTIA. This one has been a lot of work over the last, to Robo's point, STUADX may be the strongest source of collateral in Cosmos. Not only Cosmos, but all of crypto in some sense, because it's the only real yield backed LSC. So it's not backed by inflation, but like real product usage, which is super exciting. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, one sec. So then, yeah, one more big launch happened today, which was FTTIA. This has been something that we've been working on for about 5 or 6 months pretty seriously. It's been a very large chunk of our effort. So a little bit about kind of how we got here. So we talked to the Slusher team about 6 months ago about liquid staking. There was a lot of back and forth on the iteration on what the final iteration that they want for liquid staking might look like. We did that for quite a bit of time about like using the ICA approach, using a rollup on Slushia, and we landed on a really good end solution using like basically rollups on Slushia to do some verification. But this is still a little bit out theoretically. We have a good path to kind of get there. In the meantime, we talked to them about using the ICA approach, and the whole Slushia team is really, really bought in to this approach, and we have a lot of buy-in from not only Slushia core team members, but also people in the ecosystem like community members or other projects building on top of Slushia. But then Slushia hasn't done a software upgrade yet, and they're still kind of ironing out the kinks on what they want their upgrade process to be like. Without being too technical, their upgrade process is going to be somewhat between how Cosmos does it and how Ethereum does it. And so as they figure it out, they think it might take 1 to 3 months to get that first upgrade out. That will add ICA. So we talked to them about what we should do in the meantime, and the whole team was really supportive of us launching a temporary multi-sig based solution. We're happy to go into the security details here, but we had it audited by Informal and are very confident in the security of this design, especially as just a short-term solution. And then we have a very clear plan that we talked about with the Selectio team on how to migrate over to the ICA approach and over to the rollup once those go live. So that's a little bit of the story how we got here. And then we spent the last kind of month or a couple months talking to basically all the rollups on Slushia. So we talked to Dimension, Astria, Nistia, Eclipse, and so many other Hyperlane, so many other teams. And we have really good buy-in from a lot of them to basically find utility for SCTO once those rollups goes live. So whether it can be used as gas, used as sort of to pay for things on those chains like NFTs, or whether it's to use in DeFi, or even some more interesting use cases. Talk to some rollups are interested in like a blast type system where they can bridge through Stride and then all the TA gets converted to STT on the back end. So a lot of really exciting things that we're doing on the go-to-market there. And then one more thing that we'll announce soon, we've also been talking a lot to Hyperlane to see how Stride can kind of plug in with Hyperlane and how we might be able to partner there. But we did just a lot of work to get really deeply integrated with the Slushia ecosystem projects to make sure STTO can actually be really used there and is not confined to kind of non-Slushia based Cosmos chains. We think there could be a lot of demand there as well. We want this to be so widely used, really want to lean into STTO being modular money and making it as useful as possible. So that being said, we launched STTO a few hours ago. Already have quite a bit of TPL, so let me pull up the latest number. I think as of now, we have just over I'm just refreshing this page. Oh wow, yeah, I went up quite a bit in the last 10 minutes. We have over $1.7 million of TPL in the first few hours, and it's growing very steadily. You also check out the blog for more details on this, but we announced a very large airdrop as well for STTO users in the first 5 months. The goal being to really help bootstrap some of these initial network effects and get a lot of traction for STTO as the rollups go live, so we can maximize the utility of STTO for these rollups and can get really deeply integrated into the ecosystem and help unlock liquidity for everyone in the Slushia eco. So maybe I'll cover a little bit of details here, but you can see a ton more on the blog. But for the first 2 months, we're airdropping 50,000 Stride a day. It's 3 million Stride total to users who hold STTO. For now until Monday, you have to hold your STT on Stride. But after Monday, we'll start expanding the set of chains that we can snapshot to include, for example, potential Osmosis, Neutron, Umi, etc. So I know this is a ton. Happy to go into more detail, but I imagine people might have questions. So maybe we can. What do you think, Summer? Should we open up to questions? Should we talk about the airdrop a little more? or
Yeah, absolutely. Let's open it up to questions. I'm sure that that question will come up naturally, and if it doesn't, then we'll make some time for it right at the last couple minutes. But I'm gonna bring up Idris first. Let me. Ooh, hello. Okay. Oh, Idris, I know that you had your hand raised, so feel free to raise it again if you want to. Otherwise, I'm gonna bring up Krashin. How do we do? Yep, invite to speak. Fabulous. Okay, welcome, Krashin. Thank you for joining the stage. Feel free to ask whatever is on your mind.
Thanks, Summer. Thanks, Vishal. So I was wondering, how does this compare to Milky Way? I know they're also working on staking TIA, liquid staking TIA.
Yeah, it's a great question. So a few ways that I think it's different, and to preface, this is a fantastic question, and I think we're going to get this quite a bit. So just a few things that we're trying to focus on. So first is offboarding to a non-multi-sig based solution. So we've talked quite a bit with the Slusha team around what the right long-term solution is, and I think we have a really clear path to getting there for Stride. So one thing that really helps us in this regard is we are a Stride's a native app chain, and the STTIA is issued on the Stride chain. So if we want to migrate to an ICA-based account, for example, all the previously issued STTIA is immediately compatible with the new STTIA. So there's just one product. But if Milky Way, for example, wants to move to a rollup or a different chain later, because the first token is issued on Osmosis, it's a little bit of like the offboarding path is a little less clear because any future chain also has to issue the tokens back down on Osmosis. So that's like a pretty meaningful point. I think I think it's really important for especially these sort of big, potentially really widely used tokens to have a clear path towards decentralization. And one thing we focused on quite a bit is to make sure we have that path in just a few months after launch. So as soon as it's possible, Stride will migrate over to a fully trustless solution. The second way I think it's a little different is our focus on the integrating to the Slush ecosystem. So there's maybe two parts here. So the first is we're just trying to talk to as many rollups as possible and kind of tell them about what the properties are of SCTA and make it useful on those rollups. So we're talking to basically every major chain that's going to launch, it's going to use for DA to kind of use SCTA there. And one thing that kind of differentiates Stride from Milky Way here is Osmosis is somewhat competitive with some of the chains building on Slushia. So for example, like Dimension is going to have an AMM, Initia is going to have lots of like the DeFi on it. Same with basically many of these rollups are kind of competitive with Osmosis, and so there's a little bit of like the strange dynamic where Milky Way is, like kind of tied really closely with Osmosis team. One thing that we really pride ourselves at Stride is neutrality, and so so far this has been something that's been really positively received by a lot of these protocols. People, I think, have a lot of confidence that this is kind of the only thing that Stride does. There's no sort of room for competitive pressure there. The other thing that we're doing on the rollups is trying to really integrate natively on the UX and the kind of bridging layer. So we've been doing a lot of work, and this will be released more soon. Or there's gonna be a lot of details coming out over next week. But basically, we're trying to integrate really closely with any sort of way to bridge these rollups and try to make it as easy as possible to get TIA there. Another way that neutrality kind of helps here is that because Stride is neutral, it's really easy to trust it as like a bridging, to bridge that CTO over to these rollups as well through like Hyperlane or on their bridging provider. The last thing that's slightly differentiates Stride as well is we've also a strong focus on minimalism and reliability. So because the Stride chain just is one thing, issuing LSTs, we have a pretty guaranteed high uptime, much smaller attack surface, and it's a little bit harder to make such strong guarantees with a more general purpose app chain. Okay, and then the very last thing that I'll say about this is I think we're slightly different on the stage of the project and the go-to-market. So for Stride, we have kind of the luxury of being around for a long time and building up a lot of kind of a reputation for having a safe, secure, reliable product. And as a result, we have a live token. And so when we are able to incentivize early usage of Milk or SCTIA, we can directly give people Stride in order to bootstrap those network effects. But for Milk TIA, it's a little bit when users want to get these early rewards, it's a little bit harder to know because the token is not live yet and it's not 100% clear how many points you get maps onto how much milk. But for Stride, what we really want to make, I don't know, a little bit over like points. And so our goal is to make it as transparent as possible to users, like how much stride they get in order to help bootstrap these kind of early network effects and be early adopters of STTIA. And so every day we'll just tell people like you held this much STTIA, here's how much stride you get, and trying to be really transparent with the whole process. I know it was a lot. Was that helpful?
Yeah, that's super helpful, super reassuring. Good work and congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate the question.
Yeah, thanks for joining the stage. Really appreciate it. And as of right now, there's no one else with their hands raised, but I'll go through the chat and just kind of elevate some of the questions. And people are asking about the airdrop. Is it enough to just hold STTIA for the airdrop as long as it's on the Stride chain? It has to be on the Stride chain at this moment in time to be eligible for the airdrop. So yes, it is enough to just hold it. And then I think that Carlito's asking, is there any utility for STTIA? Can it be used as liquidity, etc.? And also some folks asking about what pools are going to be live, what pools are already live.
Yeah, this is a great question. So yeah, Summer hit the nail on the head in the first one. For the first few days, you just have to hold your STTIA on Stride. Next week, we'll start opening up the airdrop to more DeFi venues as well. But if you hold your STTIA on Stride, you'll always be eligible. So it's like a safe place to do it. But you might want to also use your STTIA in like osmosis pools, for example, to get the swap fees as well. There's a bunch of other options that are available kind of starting next week or on Monday. So not even that far away. And then in terms of what pools are available, I think there's one pool that's available this morning, which was the STTIA TIA pool. And I haven't checked in after that to see what other pools are there, but I think there's STTIA TIA pool on both Osmosis and Neutron. And then there should be, I don't know if anyone else has made more pools, as I haven't checked in a little bit. To your question, there's been about 1.7 million in TVL so far. But that was a few minutes ago, so I can recheck. It's kind of been in flux, I'd say.
And yeah, Robo pointed out that there's also a pool on Astroport already. And then thank you to the folks who shared links to some of those already. One other question was, how did you decide on the different airdrop amounts for STDYDX and STTIA? What was the kind of logic behind those? Because I think, yeah, they are pretty different compositionally. So yeah, what's the logic there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question. So the thinking here is we have slightly different, the products themselves are slightly different. So for DYDX, we're super excited about it. But I think for DYDX, it's more, we see a lot of utility coming from STDYDX being a really high quality source of collateral, maybe replacing DYDX on AMMs, and kind of being used for the general things that people will love and use Stride LSTs for. And for those kinds of products, we noticed you don't need quite as much early liquidity, and the things to focus on mainly are getting people to adopt the token and making sure there's deep or enough liquidity on the AMMs to support that kind of volume, and then kind of using some of those effects to secure like early integrations. And so we talked about it for quite a bit, and I think this amount is pretty high even for relative to some products launched in the past. And so I think we'll be more enough for that purpose. For TIA though, I think it's a slightly different paradigm than the existing LSTs that Stride offers, and that Celestia I think is really trying to be the center of a really large and vibrant new ecosystem. We've already seen 5+ really large projects who have raised 8-figure rounds, kind of launching Celestia based rollups in the next few months, and over next year it's much more than that too. And so I think for Celestia it's really important that we build really deep network effects within this whole roll-up ecosystem, because you get a lot more utility there. So maybe highlight one example of this. If someone, let's just say like Dimension launches soon, it's not just important to have like STTIA liquidity on Stride in order to support STT on Dimension, but you also want to have people have there be a lot of TVL, so Dimension can use STTIA for gas, for example, or it can use STTIA to support all the apps on their chain. And these sort of network effects, I think, are much more impactful because there's a whole ecosystem around Slussia. And if you're able to get these early network effects, then, like, for example, if an app building on Dimension is kind of aware of STTIA and is kind of like used to the seeing it around the ecosystem, they're more likely to accept it as part of like the currency inside their app. And so as you get some of these early network effects, it makes it much easier to get like the next and the next users and apps as well. But for DYDX, it's a super impactful token, but it's slightly less of an ecosystem than Slussia. I hope that makes sense. And then I see one more question in the chat that Robo answered, and Robo and TSRA answered. Great. But just to reiterate, you qualify for the airdrop right now by holding your STTIA on Stride. We'll put an announcement on Monday, but starting Monday, we'll open up the airdrop to more and more DeFi venues. So you can look at, you can LP on Osmosis or Astroport. You can earn the swap fees as well. And you'll have more and more ways to kind of use your STTIA while still being eligible for the airdrop. But just for the next couple of days, to make sure we have a really smooth launch, because we're expecting just kind of a large influx of users and want to make sure that snapshots are really high quality, we're eliminating just the Stride chain for the next few days. But next week, as we have some more reps in, we'll start expanding it to hopefully cover all of Cosmos DeFi soon.
Awesome. Thanks for that super thoughtful answer. I think it's appreciated in the chat by everybody. Yeah, guys, we're going to probably wrap up in about 5 minutes here. So once again, I encourage you, if you have any questions, if you want to come on stage and speak, even if it's just make a comment, even if it's not a question, now's the time. But yeah. I see Krashen asked in the chat, how will the small guys be rewarded compared to the whales participating, or is it a flat airdrop?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is directly proportional. So there's no kind of, if you're a whale, you don't get any extra ratio. It's just proportional to how much STTIA you're holding. So there's no advantage of splitting up your STTIA over multiple accounts to try to like separate it into different various accounts. There's also no advantage to collecting all your accounts into one account. They're both the same. It's just how much STTIA you hold.
And then the next question, it just says thanks. Awesome. Okay, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. I feel like that's good to know and comforting, and probably helps people kind of map out how they want to go about, their staking plans. I see Turnjeet typing when ST Vishal. Great question. ST Vishal coming soon. Yeah. All right, guys, going once. Now's your time.
CTS for typing. Yeah.
TVL. Are you curious about TVL for a specific token crashing, or are you thinking about it kind of at large? STT, yeah, a few minutes ago it was at 1.7 million.
Yeah, it is at 1.8 million now. So just in this conversation, it's gone up like 100K.
That's wild. That's super exciting. Yeah, 1.8 million is a huge number for one morning. Who is the whale here? Great question. Awesome. Yeah, and we got a couple more people typing. So yeah, I'll let you guys finish your thoughts. 2 million in 10 more minutes. Yep, fingers crossed. It's looking that way.
Maybe someone here will send it to 2 million.
Truly. Please do share the URL where I can verify TVL. Is that available on our stats page?
It is not available. So okay, it's going to be a little bit. Let me send these addresses. Give me 1 second. I think withdrawal will be enabled shortly. We usually don't enable it for the first day or so, and then we'll enable it after that. Just because the Stride chain is like a few safety measures to prevent like a few kind of edge cases, and so the unstaking is just much easier, like 24 hours after launch. So this is. Let me just send these in. Summer is the whale.
I wish. That'd be funny.
So this address I'm sending here is the account that will hold the TIA, and then but it only goes there every day, basically. So the newly staked TIA will go there every day, roughly like 2 Eastern. So you'll see it show up pretty soon.
And does that mean that if people have liquid stake their TIA and it's like not showing up in the wallet yet, does that mean that it will show up as part of the TVL like at the time that you said, and then it'll be in people's wallets like on the Stride address, or?
No, it's a good question. It should show up on their Stride address right now, but I think the wallets are pushing out updates to add SCTIA. It usually takes a little bit of time, like a few hours, maybe a day, for all the wallets to update their UIs. But it should show up soon. If you go to MintScan on your address, there's a little thing that says filter and then assets. Here, let me pull it up. And then one more quick thing. This address I'm sending here will hold the tokens before 2 p.m. So this is kind of where they're held in the Stride page until the 2 p.m. epoch, if that makes sense.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, if you, on MintScan, if you see it says search by asset name, on the right of that, there's a little like icon. If you hit that and hit assets all, you can see the SCT in your balance right now for sure. And then it should be added on the wallets and more generally pretty soon. Oh, it's already visible on Kepler. Gotcha. Yeah, that's super helpful, Reba.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And then, yeah, we just have one final question just about hiring. Are we in a place where we're?
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate the interest. We're not hiring right now, but that always changes. So just reach out to the team maybe in like a month or two, and we might be hiring again. We just had a little bit of a sprint right now for these launches, so we haven't really thought of much else besides the YDX and Slushy for the last few months. But hopefully things settle down, and we'll be able to focus on other stuff. But I really do appreciate the interest. That's true. Turnsheet's always hiring.
Yeah, Turnsheet's always hiring for ambassadors. Yeah, so if you are interested in contributing in some way, definitely hit up TS Ray for that. But yeah, all right, guys, we're gonna keep it short today, and I'm gonna call it now. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining this call today. Obviously, a very, very exciting day for us, and an exciting week for liquid stakers. So yeah, have a great rest of your day. Remember, any questions that you do have after this, you can always post in the general chat. If you're having support issues, you can open a support ticket or message in the support chat. But yeah, take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right, bye.
Bye.